Morning traders, it's Traders here. Let's see what we have in store for the day today. We've got GDP coming out for pound dollar in about half an hour, and we also have CPI news coming out for the dollar at 1:30 UK time. So I won't be taking many trades, or I won't be taking trades after 8 a.m. UK time, mainly because I'm not a fan of taking a trade before CPI. So we'll just have to wait and see how CPI plays out. With regards to euro dollar, I've been anticipating price to come down to this weekly time frame fair value gaps and the daily time frame fair value gap and hold that. Not so hold that. I was anticipating price to come down to that level since rejecting these bearish fair value gaps at the 1.112 level, and since then we've been dropping, and now we are pulling back. It looks like maybe back into this a fair value gap. Maybe we'll see a deeper retracement during CPI, and right now, yeah, we've cleared out almost. We've still got this weekly time from fair value gap, the remaining of that to clear out, which we might not. I'm gonna wait for CPI to come out for that. But if we are going to go in with a bearish bias for the day, this is good because we want to see price pulling back into these fair value gaps on the daily time frame. Although it's not in a premium, ideally I would like to see that hit that 50% of that range during CPI. Provide some kind of interim, maybe on the lower time frames. We've got these highs, maybe price can come up to that and take out liquidity on the 240. But you can see as we've approached that fair value gap, that quite a strong POI where there's loads of point of interest or PD arrays overlapping each other. So you have the daily time frame fair value gap. It's the third fair value gap, which is the strongest one. Or you could say the second one is also a strong one. And you also have the weekly time frame fair value gaps, 50% aligned with that, and price came down and found some support, and it's displaced bullish for now. But given this is we've taken out liquidity off this high, we took out liquidity previously of this high, displaced, pulled back. If you watch my video pre-market analysis yesterday, I was waiting for these fair value gaps to hold, but it didn't. We closed up and then pushed down, so I didn't really get an entry on that. Right now, if we do get an entry, maybe at this start of this fair value gap, below that order block, maybe before London session or during just before 8 p.m, then potentially look for an entry to go up. But until then, I'm just gonna have to wait and see. Or maybe there will be a shorting opportunities if price starts pushing up to these daily time from fair value gaps 50%, which also aligns with the 240 fair value gap. We also have 1 hour. We don't really have much PD arrays on 1 hour, maybe order block, but I'm not looking at that. So that's that for euro dollar. Not much bias right now until news comes out. Still bearish, so potentially maybe a pullback into these levels and then drop down to clear the rest of the weekly time frame fair value gap. Mind you though, we are on the weekly time frame. We have been on this bullish order flow, right? We have held a lot of bullish fair value gaps along the way, and last week, we've had, after this last bullish candle, we have started to pull back. So yeah, ideally, I would like to see a 50% retracement, where price can find support and then start to push up to this buy side liquidity. And if we are going to see bullish today, this is again, we took out Monday. No, we didn't. Tuesday took out Monday's low, and then we started to displace up. So it could also potentially turn bullish. I'm just going to wait for CPI to come out. Similar with pound dollar, I was anticipating price to come to these fair value gaps on the daily time frame at 1.305, and it pushed down to the low of that and found support immediately yesterday, and has been pushing up so far. I still anticipate price to come down to the weekly time frame fair value gaps, consequent encroachment, but we'll just have to wait and see during CPI. Maybe we'll push down because we have 2 fair value gaps on the weekly time frames, and ideally I would like to see price come down to it and clear at least the first fair value gap. But similar to pound dollar, we have been in a bearish order flow on the weekly time frame for the pound dollar. We came into a monthly time frame fair value gaps, consequent encroachment 3 weeks in a row and rejected it, and that's one of the main reasons I've been bearish, at least to that weekly time frame fair value gaps, consequent encroachment on the weekly time frame, or at least clear the rest of the first fair value gap. But since that rejection of the monthly time frame fair value gap, we have seen bearish order flow. So if we are going to be bearish, then maybe we'll get a pullback today during CPI into the discount of this premium of this range and look for some kind of a shorting opportunity. But price came into that, these equal lows was what I was predicting, came down. We formed essentially a double bottom, and since then we've been ranging. So it looks like price has come into the 240 fair value gaps 50% and take out liquidity off the high of this range. There's potential entry down at that zone. However, given GDP is coming out for pound dollar in about 15 minutes, I'm not going to look for any trading opportunities, and also I don't trade before 7 a.m.